The Danube ran red that night, though not from any natural cause. Alexei Volkov had always known this life would end in blood. He just hadn't expected it to be his own. The bullet hole in his shoulder burned like liquid fire as the current dragged him downstream, away from the warehouse where his team had left him to die. Team. The word tasted bitter, even unspoken. Target eliminated. Konstantin's voice had crackled through the comm before the first shot. Not the target's voice. His handler. His brother-in-arms for 12 years. The man who'd stood beside him in Prague, in Cairo, in Moscow. Before we continue, please like this video and subscribe, and comment about your favorite character. The man who just put 2 bullets in him and pushed him into the river. Alexei's fingers scraped against something solid, a rock, a root, salvation. He hauled himself toward the riverbank, each movement an exercise in controlled agony. His vision swam. The world tilted sideways. Somewhere above, voices shouted in German, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Find the body. Confirm the kill. His body refused to cooperate. 12 years as the Kremlin's invisible hand, ghost of 100 operations, and he'd die on some forgotten Austrian riverbank because he'd trusted the wrong people. The irony would have been amusing if he weren't drowning in his own blood. The current pulled him under again. This time he didn't fight it. Consciousness returned in fragments. The smell of lavender, soft linen against his skin, morning light filtering through unfamiliar curtains, and pain. God. The pain in his shoulder felt like someone had replaced his bones with broken glass. You're awake. The voice was warm, accented with something rural Austrian. Don't move yet. You tore your stitches twice already. Alexei's training kicked in before his eyes fully opened. Assess. Analyze. Survive. He was in a small bedroom, clean but modest. Herbs hung drying from the ceiling beams. Through the window he glimpsed rolling hills and a church steeple in the distance. No visible weapons. One exit. One woman. She sat in a wooden chair beside the bed, knitting needles clicking rhythmically. Mid-30s, perhaps. Dark hair pulled back in a loose braid. The kind of face that might have been painted by one of the old masters. Strong bones, gentle eyes, a mouth that looked accustomed to smiling. She wore a simple dress and an expression of mild concern, as if finding half-dead assassins in rivers was a regular Tuesday occurrence. Where am I? His voice came out like gravel. My home. About 30 kilometers from where I found you. She set down her knitting. You were more dead than alive. Bullet wounds, hypothermia, enough blood loss to kill a normal man twice over. How long? 4 days. You've been feverish, delirious. You spoke in Russian mostly, some English, a little German. She moved to a small table, poured water from a ceramic pitcher. You never mentioned your name. I don't have one. The old protocol answer, automatic as breathing. Everyone has a name. She held the glass to his lips. Mine is Elena Hoffman. And since you're going to be staying here until you can walk without falling over, you'll need something for me to call you. The water was cold, clean, perfect. When was the last time anything had tasted real? Not the sterile safe houses, the anonymous hotel rooms, the blood and gunpowder operations that blurred into one endless gray nightmare. Mikhail. He lied. Or maybe he didn't. It had been his name once before the directorate had scraped away everything that made him human. Well then, Mikhail. Elena settled back into her chair, retrieving her knitting. When you're strong enough to answer questions, we'll discuss why someone shot you and threw you in my river. Until then, you rest. I don't save people just to watch them kill themselves through stubbornness. Your river. But exhaustion pulled at him like an undertow. His last conscious thought was that her hands moved with the same precise economy he'd spent years perfecting with weapons. Strange that someone could create instead of destroy with such skill. By the second week, Alexei could stand without the room spinning. By the third, he could make it to the kitchen without assistance, though Elena watched him like a hawk watching a wounded rabbit, protective, wary, ready to intervene. Her cottage sat isolated in the foothills, a 2-hour walk from the nearest village. She kept goats, tended a garden that would have made a monastery proud, and seemed entirely content with her solitude. No television, no internet he could detect. Just books, herbs, and the kind of peace Alexei had forgotten existed. You live alone, he observed one morning, watching her knead bread with practiced hands. I do now. Something flickered across her face, old pain well buried. My husband died 6 years ago. Climbing accident in the Alps. We had no children. The village pitied me for a while, then mostly forgot about me. She shaped the dough with firm, sure movements. I prefer it this way. People are complicated. Goats are simple. And strangers you pull from rivers. Ah, but you're not complicated, Mikhail. You're very simple. She met his eyes, and he saw intelligence there, sharp enough to cut. You're a man who's done terrible things, been betrayed by terrible people, and now you're deciding whether to die or take revenge. That's the oldest story in the world. The accuracy of it stole his breath. He'd given her nothing, no details, no confirmation, just the bare minimum of interaction. Yet she'd read him like one of the leather-bound books that lined her shelves. I'm not... Don't. She dusted flour from her hands. I was married to a federal investigator for 12 years. I know what ghosts look like. You carry about 100 of them. She slid the bread into the oven. What you do with them is your business. But while you're here, you eat, you rest, and you stop bleeding on my clean floors. Agreed? Despite everything, he felt the corner of his mouth twitch. When was the last time someone had spoken to him like he was human? Not an asset, not a weapon, not a ghost. Agreed. The routine established itself gradually. Alexei would wake before dawn, old habits refusing to die, and find Elena already in her garden, harvesting herbs in the pale morning light. He'd make coffee, proper coffee, strong enough to strip paint, and she'd pretend not to notice him watching the tree line, cataloging exits, identifying threats that never materialized. You're waiting for them to find you, she said one morning, 3 weeks into his stay. They think I'm dead. But you're not sure. He wasn't. Constantine had been thorough. 2 shots, the river, the cleanup crew. But Constantine had also taught him that you never assumed. Assumptions got you killed. Still, 3 weeks without a kill team kicking down the door suggested he'd actually managed to disappear. Or they were being patient. Tell me about him, Elena said. The one who betrayed you. Why? Because you say his name in your sleep. Constantine. And because I think you need to tell someone before the poison of it kills you. Alexei stared into his coffee. Every operational instinct screamed against sharing anything, but those instincts were what landed him in the river. Maybe it was time to stop trusting them. We were partners. 12 years. The words came slowly, rust flaking off locked doors. He pulled me out of Chechnya after a mission went wrong, trained me, became the closest thing I had to family. 3 weeks ago, we were in Vienna for an operation. High-value target, political implications, standard work. Except it wasn't. Except I was the target. He met her eyes. They wanted me gone. Too many secrets, too dangerous if I ever walked away. Constantine volunteered to handle it personally. He probably got promoted for it. Elena was quiet for a moment. And now you want to kill him. I want answers first. Then I want to kill everyone involved. Revenge, then. Justice. There's a difference? Justice is what you call revenge when you're on the right side of it. He stood, suddenly restless. They made me into a weapon, Elena. Pointed me at their enemies for 12 years. The moment I became inconvenient, they tried to throw me away. I won't let that stand. She watched him pace like a caged wolf. And after, say you get your revenge, your justice, whatever you call it. What then? The question hung in the air like smoke. Alexei had no answer. He'd spent so long being a tool, a weapon, a solution to other people's problems, that he'd forgotten how to imagine any other future. I don't know, he admitted finally. Then maybe, Elena said softly, you should figure that out before you throw your life away a second time. The next morning, Alexei woke to find Elena gone. Not unusual. She often visited the village for supplies, but his instincts prickled. He checked the perimeter, found nothing suspicious. Her goats grazed peacefully. The chickens pecked at their grain. Everything normal except the ice crystallizing in his gut. 3 hours later, she returned with groceries and a carefully neutral expression. There were men in the village, she said without preamble. Foreign, showing photographs, asking about strangers, newcomers, anyone unusual. Alexei's blood went cold. Description? Professional. Armed, I think, though they tried to hide it. Eastern European accents. They spoke German, but... She set her bags down carefully. They reminded me of you, before. How many? 3 that I saw. There may be more. His mind raced through calculations. If they were canvassing villages, they'd found the body missing, which meant they'd expand the search radius, which meant, "You need to leave," Elena said quietly. "Tonight. I'll pack supplies. You can take the trail through the mountains. They've probably set up observation posts on the main routes. I'd walk right into them." He cursed in Russian. "How thorough were they? Did they ask about this property?" "No. But they will if they're doing a complete canvass." She met his eyes. "I won't let them take you. Not after putting you back together." "Elena, don't." Her voice carried iron beneath the softness. "I chose to save you. I choose to help you now. Make your plans." They came 2 nights later. Alexei heard them before the dogs did. 3 men moving with professional caution through the woods. He'd spent the previous 48 hours preparing, falling back into old patterns like muscle memory. Escape routes mapped, weapons improvised from Elena's tools. His shoulder still screamed with every movement, but pain was just information. "Stay in the basement," he told Elena. "Don't come out until I call for you." "I'm not hiding in my own home. Please." He caught her hand, surprised by his own gesture. "They'll kill you just for knowing me. Let me handle this." For a moment she looked like she might argue. Then she squeezed his fingers once and disappeared down the cellar stairs. Alexei killed the lights and moved to his position by the window. 3 men, all carrying suppressed weapons. Professionals, as he'd expected. They'd approach from multiple angles, standard assault pattern. 2 at the front, 1 covering the rear. He waited until they were committed, then moved. The first one went down silently. A kitchen knife through the throat before he could raise his weapon. The second caught a garden spade to the temple hard enough to crack bone. The third, realizing his team was down, tried to retreat and found Alexei already behind him. "Who sent you?" Alexei's voice was winter. The man, young, maybe 25, probably his first international operation, went pale. I can't. Constantine? The Directorate? FSB? SVR? Each name like a nail driven home. "Who sent you?" "Private contractor," the man gasped. "Rubicon Solutions. They don't tell us the clients, just the targets. Your photo, last known location, bonus for confirmation." "Where's your command post?" "Salzburg, Old Warehouse District. But there are others. You can't." Alexei never learned what he couldn't do. He left the man unconscious but alive, still human enough for that apparently, and returned to the cottage. Elena emerged from the basement, pale but composed. She took in the scene, the blood, the bodies, the man he'd once been standing in her kitchen, without flinching. "I need to leave," Alexei said. "Tonight. They'll send more when these don't report in. Then we leave together." "Elena." "They saw me in the village. Ask questions. I'm already connected to you." She moved with sudden purpose, pulling a bag from the closet. "Besides, you're still recovering. You need someone to keep you from being stupid and getting killed." "I work alone." "You did work alone. Then you got shot and thrown in a river. Maybe try something different this time." She packed with efficient movements, first aid supplies, food, clothing. "Where are we going?" "Salzburg, then Vienna, then Moscow probably." He stared at her. "This isn't your fight." "No," she agreed. "But you're staying in my house, bleeding on my floors and bringing armed men to my door. That makes it my business." She slung the bag over her shoulder. "Now, are we leaving, or should I make tea while we wait for the next kill team?" Despite everything, the danger, the death, the darkness closing in, Alexei felt something crack in his chest. Not breaking, thawing. "We leave in 5 minutes," he said. For the first time since the river, Elena smiled. The Salzburg safe house sat above a closed pharmacy in the city's industrial quarter. 3 rooms of peeling wallpaper and paranoia, rented under a name Alexei hadn't used in 7 years. Elena took in the bare mattress, the single window with blackout curtains, and the collection of forged documents spread across a folding table. "Cozy," she said dryly. "It's secure. That's what matters." Alexei was already sorting through the documents. Passports, driver's licenses, credit cards, all with his face and different names. The emergency cachet he'd maintained, despite protocol, against the day everything went wrong. That day had come. The warehouse where they're operating is here. He tapped a map of Salzburg's old industrial sector. Rubicon Solutions is a known PMC shell. They rent out for wet work when governments want plausible deniability. If I can grab their client list, I'll know who ordered the hit. You mean we can grab their client list? Elena, we've had this conversation. You're not leaving me in a safe house while you throw yourself at armed mercenaries. She studied the map with surprising focus. Besides, you need a lookout. Someone who speaks fluent German and doesn't look like she murders people for a living. She had a point. Annoying, but valid. Fine. But you follow my lead exactly. No improvisation, no heroics. Says the man who took on 3 armed killers with garden tools. I'm a professional. You're a stubborn idiot who's going to get both of us killed. But she smiled as she said it. Show me the plan. They hit Rubicon's warehouse 2 nights later, during a shift change when security was thinnest. Elena played her part perfectly. Lost tourist, car broken down, could someone please help? While Alexei slipped through a service entrance and disappeared into the building's guts. Military contractor operations always followed the same pattern. Cheap space, expensive security, and a server room locked tighter than the rest. He found it on the 3rd floor, bypassed the electronic lock with tools from his cache, and was inside the system in under 8 minutes. The client list made his blood run cold. Konstantin, as expected. But also General Viktor Petrov, his former commanding officer, Colonel Anna Sokolova, Operations Director, Deputy Minister Mikhail Orlov. The entire chain of command had signed off on his execution. Not a rogue operation, not betrayal by one man, a coordinated purge. He downloaded everything, contracts, payment records, communication logs, and was halfway to the exit when the alarm screamed. Damn it. Alexei ran, taking stairs 3 at a time. Behind him, boots thundered. Radios crackled. The building was waking up and he was trapped inside. He burst through a service door into an alley where Elena waited with a stolen motorcycle, engine already running. What did you do? She shouted over the noise. Survived. Drive. They tore through Salzburg streets with half of Rubicon behind them, Elena handling the motorcycle like she'd been doing this her entire life. Bullets sparked off cobblestones. Pedestrians screamed and dove for cover. This was going to be an international incident. Left, Alexei shouted, and Elena cranked the bike into a turn that physics suggested should be impossible. They shot through a narrow passage between buildings, emerged onto a main road, and disappeared into traffic. 20 minutes later, in a parking garage 3 districts away, Elena killed the engine and sat shaking. Never, she gasped. Again. You're a natural. I'm a librarian who grows herbs. I don't do high-speed chases. But her hands were steadying, her breathing evening out. Shock wearing off, adrenaline fading. She'd held together when it mattered. Did you get what you needed? More than I needed. Alexei pulled out the drive. They're all in on it. Everyone I trusted, everyone I worked for. They wanted me dead because I knew too much, and dead men can't testify if there's ever an investigation. So what now? Good question. The old Alexei would have started killing his way up the chain of command until he reached the top or died trying. But the old Alexei hadn't spent 6 weeks learning that there were other ways to be human. Now, he said slowly, we do something they won't expect. We go public. Elena stared at him. You want to expose them? Alexei, these are government officials, intelligence officers. Who ordered the murder of their own operative using illegal contractors? If I leak this right, to journalists, to rival agencies, to everyone, they'll spend so much time covering their asses they won't have resources to hunt us. Mutual, assured destruction. That's insane. That's survival. He met her eyes. I can't win a war against the entire Russian intelligence apparatus, but I can make sure they lose too. Make it so expensive to come after me that I'm not worth the trouble. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, you'll need help. Journalists you can trust. Platforms they can't silence. Evidence they can't deny. I have contacts. People who owe me favors. It'll take time. Coordination. Then we'd better get started. Elena stood, brushing off her jeans. But first food. I think better when I'm not starving. How are you so calm about this? I'm not. I'm terrified. But I'm also furious. Her eyes flashed. They tried to kill you. Then they came to my home. Made me complicit just by being near you. So yes, I'm absolutely going to help you burn their operation to the ground. Alexei felt that crack in his chest widen further. 12 years alone, trusting no one, relying on nothing but skill and fear. Then a woman from a river cottage had shown him what it meant to have someone stand beside you, not because they were ordered to, but because they chose it. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Don't thank me yet. We might still die horribly." Elena started toward the exit, then paused. "But if we survive? You're teaching me to cook something Russian. Everything I know is Austrian, and I'm curious." Despite the danger, the blood on his hands, the empire crumbling around them, Alexei smiled. "It's a deal." Vienna's cafe culture made it easy to disappear. Just another couple among thousands, nursing coffee and watching the world pass by. Alexei had made contact with 3 journalists in the past week, each one carefully vetted, each one hungry enough for the story to risk the consequences. The data dump would hit in 48 hours, coordinated across multiple platforms, impossible to suppress. The end of everything he'd been and the beginning of something uncertain. "You're quiet," Elena observed, sketching in a notebook she'd bought. She'd taken to drawing, landscapes, architecture, occasionally Alexei when she thought he wasn't looking. Thinking. About? What comes after? He watched tourists feed pigeons in the square. "When I joined the directorate, I had nothing. No family, no prospects, just anger and aptitude for violence. They gave me purpose, even if that purpose was evil. And now? Now I have the anger and the violence, but no purpose, just survival." He turned to her. "Why did you really help me, Elena? The truth this time." She said, down her pencil. "My husband Thomas, he died because he got too close to something dangerous. Corruption in the federal police, evidence that went missing, witnesses who wouldn't talk. He was going to expose it all." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. "They called it an accident, climbing rope that happened to fail, and everyone believed it because it was easier than believing the truth. I'm sorry. Don't be. Be better." She met his eyes. "You want to know why I saved you? Because you're the evidence that doesn't disappear, the witness who survived. And maybe if I help you burn down the people who thought they were untouchable, it means Thomas didn't die for nothing." Alexei had killed for duty, for orders, for the cold logic of national security. He'd never killed for something as simple and devastating as justice. "We're going to do more than burn it down," he said. "We're going to make sure everyone sees the ashes." The call came at 3 a.m., 2 hours before the data dump was scheduled to go live. "Alexei." Konstantin's voice smooth as silk. "Still alive. Impressive." Every muscle in Alexei's body tensed. "How did you get this number?" "Please, I trained you. Did you really think I wouldn't have contingencies?" A pause. "We need to talk, face to face." "So you can finish what you started?" "So I can offer you a deal." Konstantin's tone shifted, became almost pleading. "Don't release those files, come in from the cold. The general is willing to forgive this whole mess. Your survival, the stolen data, even the exposure of our contractors. You disappear permanently. We pretend you died in the river. Clean break." "Why would I trust anything you say?" "Because I'm trying to save your life, you stubborn bastard." Now Konstantin sounded genuinely frustrated. "You think going public protects you? It paints a target. Intelligence agencies worldwide will want you dead for exposing methodology. Criminal organizations will want revenge for jobs you did. You'll spend the rest of your short life running. Better than spending it as your weapon." "I never wanted this, Alexei. The order came from above. Way above. You knew things, operational details that could unravel decades of work if you ever broke. They couldn't risk it. So you shot me. So I tried to make it quick, painless, professional." Konstantin's voice hardened. "But you survived. And now you're making this personal. The data release will force our hand. We'll have to come after you with everything. No limits, no mercy. Is that really what you want?" Alexei looked at Elena, sleeping peacefully in the next room. Thought about the cottage by the river, the goats, the quiet life she'd built from grief, the life she'd offered to share in her own way if he could just let go of the knife. "Send me the coordinates," he said. 1 hour, come alone. "Alexei, you want to talk? Let's talk. But it's going to be on my terms." He hung up before Konstantin could respond. Elena appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a blanket. You're not actually going to meet him. I am. That's suicide. Maybe. Or maybe it's closure. He began checking his weapons, guns acquired through careful criminal contacts, knives from a restaurant supply store. The files will release automatically if I don't check in. Insurance. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You don't get to make that choice. She crossed her arms. He betrayed you once. He'll try again. You need backup you can trust. Elena, he's a professional killer, one of the best. If this goes wrong, then it goes wrong, but I won't let you face him alone. She moved closer, and for the first time since he'd known her, she looked scared. Not of the danger, of losing him. You told me once you didn't know what came after revenge. I think you do know. You're just afraid to admit it. And what's that? Living. Actually, living, not just surviving. Her hand found his. But you can't do that if you're dead. So we do this smart, together, and then we go home. Home. The cottage by the river. Goats and gardens and a woman who saw his ghosts and didn't flinch. When had that become home? Together, he agreed. But you stay in the car until I signal. And if shooting starts, you drive away and don't look back. We'll negotiate that part later. Elena squeezed his hand once, then released it. What's the plan? Alexei smiled grimly. We remind Konstantin why I survived 12 years doing his job. The meeting point was a construction site on Vienna's outskirts. Skeletal buildings, shipping containers, plenty of cover for an ambush. Alexei arrived 30 minutes early, scouted every approach, identified 3 sniper positions, all occupied. He brought backup, Elena whispered through the comm unit he'd given her. She'd parked 2 blocks away with a clear view through binoculars. At least 3, maybe more. Expected. Alexei moved through shadows like smoke. The snipers were professionals, but they were looking for threats, not ghosts. He took out the first one silently, repositioned the rifle to aim at the second position. Used the second sniper's radio to call an all clear. Confusion. The third sniper broke position to investigate. Alexei dropped him with a tranquilizer. Still had some humanity left, apparently. Center of the site, he told Elena. 5 minutes. If I'm not out in 10, release the files and disappear. Alexei? 10 minutes. Promise me. A long pause. Then, 10 minutes. Don't make me keep that promise. He walked into the open, hands visible, and waited. Konstantin emerged from behind a concrete barrier, alone, weapon holstered. He looked older than Alexei remembered, more gray in his beard, deeper lines around his eyes. 12 years of creating ghosts aged a man. You cleared my backup, Konstantin said, almost admiringly. Of course you did. I taught you to scout. You taught me a lot of things, including when to recognize a trap. This isn't a trap, Alexei. It's an ending. Konstantin stopped 10 meters away. One way or another, we finish this tonight. Agreed. So talk. Why did you really call? Because I owe you the truth. Konstantin's shoulders slumped slightly. The order to eliminate you came from the deputy minister. You'd run an operation in Syria, extracted a defector with information about chemical weapon sales, lucrative sales to people who pay well for silence. Your report would have exposed billions in illegal arms deals. So they killed the messenger. They tried. I was supposed to make it clean, professional. But when I looked through that scope, saw you walking away, trusting me, Konstantin's voice cracked. I couldn't do it. So I aimed for survivable wounds, pushed you in the river, where you had a chance. Then I falsified the kill confirmation. Alexei's world tilted. You let me escape? I gave you a chance. Slim one, but more than orders allowed. Konstantin met his eyes. I knew you'd go for revenge. I knew you'd be sloppy, emotional, make mistakes. I figured they'd catch you eventually, and I could claim I'd been thorough enough. Bought myself time, bought you life. But then you didn't make mistakes. You got smarter, more careful. Found allies. A ghost of a smile. Found her. Elena. The woman from the river. The one who saved you when I couldn't. Konstantin pulled out a cigarette, didn't light it. She changed something in you. Made you human again. That's going to get you killed, you know. Or save me. Maybe. Konstantin tucked the cigarette away. Here's what happens next. You release those files, half of Moscow's intelligence apparatus collapses. Good people die alongside the corrupt ones. Operations we've spent decades building burn overnight. And for what? Revenge against men who barely remember your name? Justice. Justice is a luxury for people with clean hands. We passed that exit years ago. Konstantin's voice hardened. But I'll give you an alternative. Take the woman. Disappear. New names, new country, new life. I'll report you dead, again, and this time I'll make sure it sticks. The files stay buried, you stay breathing. Everyone wins. Except the truth stays hidden. The truth is that we're both killers, Alexei. The only difference is I made peace with it and you're still looking for redemption in the bottom of a vodka bottle. Konstantin drew his weapon but didn't raise it. Make your choice. Walk away or die here. But choose fast. My backup will wake up soon. The weight of every kill, every ghost, every choice pressed down like ocean water. Alexei could release the files, burn it all down, prove that some things were unacceptable even in their world of shadows. Or he could walk away, become someone new, give Elena the life she'd sacrificed her peace to help him find. Justice or survival, revenge or redemption. I'm not like you anymore, Alexei said quietly. I want to be, but I'm not. Someone showed me. There's more than this. Then you've already chosen. I have. Alexei smiled sadly. The files release in 2 minutes. Everything. Every operation, every asset, every dirty deal. And when it hits, you're going to tell them I died here tonight. Tell them we fought. I triggered a dead man's switch. You couldn't stop it. Your reputation survives. You get to keep playing the game. Konstantin stared. Why would I do that? Because you let me live once. Because you trained me to survive. Because somewhere under all the killing and the orders, you remember what it meant to be human. Alexei backed toward the exit. And because if you don't, my insurance package releases your bank records, the money you've skimmed, the side deals, everything. You sneaky bastard. I learned from the best. Alexei paused at the edge of darkness. One more thing. The woman, Elena. No one touches her, ever. That's not a request. And if they try anyway? Then I stop pretending I'm retired, and a lot of people die badly. Alexei let the monster show in his eyes just for a moment. Your choice. Konstantin was silent for a long moment. Then he holstered his weapon. Get out of here. You've got 90 seconds before this goes public, and Vienna becomes very dangerous for you. Konstantin? Yeah? Thank you. For the river. For the chance. Don't thank me. Just don't waste it. Konstantin turned away. Now run, before I remember I'm supposed to kill you. Alexei ran. Elena had the car moving before he finished closing the door. They were 3 blocks away when his phone pinged. Files released, mirrors activated, no way to stop the spread. By morning, every intelligence agency in the world would be reading Russia's dirty laundry. Did you kill him? Elena asked quietly. No. He let me go. Alexei watched Vienna disappear in the rearview mirror. Turns out some ghosts don't want to haunt you. Where to now? Good question. The files would provide some protection. Too high profile to disappear quietly. But they'd need to move carefully, stay hidden, build something new from the ashes of everything he'd been. South, he decided. Croatia maybe. Greece. Somewhere warm where the rivers don't run red. Elena smiled, and it was like sunrise. I've always wanted to see Greece. They drove through the night and into dawn, leaving behind death and ghosts and the cold man Alexei had been. Somewhere ahead lay a future uncertain and dangerous, but for the first time in 12 years, it was his to choose. The river had tried to drown him. Instead, it had washed him clean. 18 months later, the cottage on Corfu's northern coast was smaller than Elena's Austrian home, but it had a garden, a view of the sea, and no memories of blood. Elena grew her herbs, proper Greek varieties now, mixed with the Austrian ones she'd brought. Alexei fixed things, boats, motors, the occasional tourist's car, and tried not to think about Moscow. The intelligence leak had been everything he'd hoped. 3 ministers resigned. General Petrov faced corruption charges. The directorate underwent their largest purge in decades. Konstantin had survived, somehow talked his way clear, probably by throwing others to the wolves. Smart man. Sometimes Alexei got emails, encrypted, anonymous, warning about threats or opportunities. He suspected Constantine keeping his promise, protecting the ghost he'd created twice. "You're thinking too much again," Elena said, appearing with 2 glasses of wine. She'd cut her hair shorter, Mediterranean style. Suited her. "Just remembering. The past or the future?" "Both." He accepted the wine. "Got a message today. There's a Russian oligarch looking for security. Serious money, clean work, just protection. And I deleted it." He sipped the wine, local vintage, nothing fancy. "I'm done being that person." Elena settled beside him on the porch, her shoulder warm against his. The sun was setting over the Ionian Sea, painting everything gold. A fishing boat cut through the waves. Somewhere down the beach, children laughed. "You know what I realized?" Elena said. "In all the time I've known you, I never asked your real name, your actual name before everything." "Alexei Mikhailovich Volkov." The syllables felt strange after so long hiding behind aliases. "My father was a factory worker in Novosibirsk. My mother taught primary school, both dead before I turned 18. "Alexei," she repeated, testing it. "It suits you better than Mikhail." "Everything suits me better now." He turned to face her properly. "You saved my life twice, you know. Once from the river, once from myself." "I didn't save you. You were already saving yourself, you just needed someone to remind you how." She set down her glass. "Besides, you saved me too." "How?" "You were fine before I showed up bleeding on your riverbank." "I was existing, hiding, pretending that solitude was the same as peace." Elena's voice grew soft. "You reminded me that being alive means taking risks. Even stupid, dangerous, completely insane risks that involve high-speed chases and international espionage. I don't recommend it as a lifestyle. No, but I don't regret it." She leaned closer. "Any of it." They'd been dancing around this for months. The careful distance, the unspoken boundaries. 2 damaged people learning how to be human again. But the sun was setting, the wine was good, and Alexei was tired of being afraid. "Elena," he said quietly, "when this started I told myself I'd take revenge and then die. That was the only ending I could imagine. But you—" "Shut up and kiss me, you ridiculous man." So he did. This story helps us to understand that sometimes salvation comes not from escaping your past, but from finding someone who helps you build a future worth living. Alexei and Elena's story reminds us that it's never too late to choose differently, to thaw a frozen heart, to let the current carry you toward something better than revenge. The river runs both ways, toward death and toward life. The choice always is ours. So like and subscribe for more epic tales.